Welcome. My name is Van Richards. I'm a chartered financial consultant, and today we're talking about a brand new stock, Palantir. A lot of you have asked for me to review this particular stock, and Palantir is not really a new company. It's not an IPO per se, because Palantir has been around since 2003, but they just offered their stock available to the public in September. So there's not a lot of history of earnings to go on. So today's going to be just a little bit different, but we are going to talk about some of the potential. The stock just went crazy today. It's been going crazy since it was issued in September, up over 60%. So I think you'll be very interested to learn about this company and see about what the potential is going to be going forward. So let's go ahead and get into talking a little bit more and learning a little bit more about Palantir. So let's start with the daily stock analysis. Okay, I want to remind you all that just a short commercial here that I am a financial planner, and what I do is I help people to plan their investments in their retirement. So if you want to learn more about that, go over to richardsfinancialplanning.com. So let's go ahead a little bit about Palantir, if I can get the right buttons going. Okay. A lot of you who are out there might not even have any idea about what Palantir is. So what I did is I put together a short 15-second video that just goes through the divisions of Palantir and gives you a little bit of an understanding on it, because I really think I encourage you to buy a company. Just don't buy a stock. Buy the potential of that company. And that's what we want to talk today about, is the potential of Palantir. So let's get into it. Palantir at $24.8 billion market capitalization. Actually, that's more like about 24.9 since I put this together at about noontime. It's gone up. It ended the day up 8.37%. Now, this is going to be just a little bit different than the days that we've gone through stocks in the past. We're still focusing on the stability, the earnings, and the competitiveness of the stocks. And we want to look at the moat of this particular stock too. The Warren Buffett idea of unbreachable moats. This is the barrier that stands in between Palantir and its competition. And actually, it does have quite a bit of competition, but they're just not at the same stage that Palantir is right now. The biggest advantage that Palantir has is the switching cost. They do business with a lot of government operations, and there is a security issue that has to do with the fact, and also the cost is significant, but the switching cost is a big deal. The network effect is also an influence on why people continue to utilize this particular company's services. They're a big data aggregator, and what that really means is that if you have one government agency that's utilizing it, a lot of other government agencies are utilizing it. And with their three different divisions that we talked about today, we talked about Apollo and the Foundry and Gotham, all three divisions, they're growing significantly. But you also notice, as we talk about some of the bearish aspects of this, is that there is some technology which is being cultivated in-house. For example, the Army is not utilizing Palantir as much as maybe like the CIA does. But let's keep going on this. All right, if I can get the right button going here. All right, let's look at the financials just a little bit on Palantir, because they just came out with their earnings report yesterday. They were 52% up year over year in revenue growth, and that was 35% from government, 35% from the commercial and 68% from government. As we go a little bit further, I want you to understand the potential for this company going forward. They had their top 20 customers contribute $23.6 million to their bottom line. It grew by 36%. The other thing is when you look at the average revenue per customer, it grew at $5.8 million. And looking a little bit further, the top 20 customers represented 61% of their revenue. Now, that's actually a good thing. That's gone down. And the reason why that's good is because they're getting more customers. So if they lose a customer, it's not going to hurt their bottom line as much. And that's important when we're thinking about what's going forward. Palantir put out significantly good guidance. They're looking for their fourth quarter year-over-year sales to grow at about 31%. Their adjusted operated income is to increase at 16%. That's what they're projecting. They're expecting annual sales to grow at 30% in 2021. Now, there's not a lot of history on Palantir. Obviously, it only became into existence as a public company in September. It's been around since 2003. So what we have to do is we have to really look at the internal workings. We have to go to the balance sheet of the company and look at what's going on. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to look at when you don't have a lot of history on the company is look at the liquidity of the company. And you can do that by a ratio that's called the current ratio. And it basically tells you, do they have enough money to continue operations in the current year? And actually, they do. They have current assets of $1.89 billion, and their current liabilities are only 1.13. So that puts the current ratio at 1.626, or actually 1.6726. A good current ratio is around 2 to 1. So that means that they're operating is in good standing, let's say. Now, it's really difficult to look at competitors because there are no competitors to consider. It's only been around since September. So what I did is I show you right now Palantir compared to the NASDAQ 100. And it is done amazing. It came out at $9.50 a share on September the 13th. It's at $15.80 today. Now, the big question is going to be, is it going to continue beyond 1580 or is it going to continue? Is it going to pull back some? In that short period of time since September, it has increased by 66.32%. So you have to ask yourself, is it going to continue? I can't answer that. And you have to emphasize that the past performance can't be a guarantee of what's going on in the future. These are the competitors which are out there. Now, I couldn't throw them up on the screen because, you've got something that's the similarity to an IPO that it's going up because there's like piranha feeding on meat right now. But these are the companies in the coming months and years that are going to be competing with Palantir. You're going to see the big companies like Microsoft, IBM, Accenture, and Amazon are going to be competing significantly. Now, what are the bullish analysts saying? There's not a whole lot of analysts who are following this company, but there are several. The biggest thing that analysts are saying now is that Palantir has technology that could absolutely turn the economy around. It could prosper everybody. Government business that they have, that 68% of their bottom line revenues that comes from government, actually it's 61%, is very stable. They started out doing business with the CIA, and they have multiplied that with other divisions throughout the government. They actually also helped with hurricane relief recently, utilizing their data and how it's utilized in tracking and improving movement of information. All right, what are the bears saying about this? Problem solving could be just a niche, which could have a limited amount of growth. There are other bearish analysts that are also saying that investors have limited voting power with Palantir. You'll see that Alex Karp and Peter Thiel basically have complete control over the way this company is operating. And if they have contracts that go differently than what shareholders agree to, that does leave them limited in what they have control over. Also, as I mentioned to you, competition going forward could be stiff. It's kind of like a new toy that you just got. It's very brand new. So a lot of people are playing with it, but there could be limited growth. But It's still got some good potential, I think. All right, right now at 1580, what Morningstar is saying is that we're already overpriced. We're at $13 a share. It's a 21% premium that's on top of it. And then last but not least, we have to look and see what's happening with the analyst. And actually, the red circle that you see in front of you is a downgrade that actually happened just today from Morgan Stanley. It was weighted as overweight, but actually right now they're coming to equal weight. And the point is going to be that that particular analyst feels that it's too hot right now at 1580 a share. Their price target is at 15. So they could be selling at this point to basically take advantage of some profits. We'll just have to see if 1580 is too high. With the big increase that we saw that went on today, it could be. Now, Jefferies Financial Group has a higher number on it. They're looking at it to go to 18. So we'll just have to see how that works too. And the big question is going to be, what do you think? Do you think that Palantir could continue to go higher? I think in future years that Palantir is a company that can have a lot of influence on our economy. I think it can continue to grow significantly. But a good company can be overpriced in value from time to time. And the fact that it's grown 66% since September is a significant increase. I'd be very cautious of if you were buying into this stock, and I would monitor it very carefully. I'm not saying that it's going to fall significantly, and I'm not a short seller, but I want you to consider that if you're buying it right now, you are buying it higher than any analyst is anticipating. And many of the analysts that are out there are saying that we're just putting a hold on this to wait to see what's going to cool off from that point. Okay, folks, I want to remind you too that if you have information that you want to get on stocks, tell me what you like. Today I did Palantir because one of you asked for it. Now, I'll encourage you too that I just to tell you, I can't answer questions for you about should I buy this option over this option, or should I look at buying this stock? Is it going to go higher? I get that question so much. Is this stock going to go higher? I can give you my opinion on whether it's fairly priced and whether it has potential, but I can't say, yes, this is going to go higher. My crystal ball is not very clear. And that just reminds me too, did you know what Palantir stands for? Those of you who are Lord of the Rings fans know that when Saruman had that orb that he was looking at and he was talking to Sauron through the orb, that orb is a Palantir. And that truly is the reason why that Palantir has its name. All right. It's Friday afternoon, folks. Be very safe. Have a great weekend. And let me know what you think. I'm glad to have you around this week. Have a good weekend.